great. This is great. Welcome back. This weekend we are going to be starting the footings. However, earlier this week, just a couple days after we broke ground, we got rain for 2 days straight, probably like an inch or two of rain. And unfortunately, this is what I came to find today. It's pretty much what I was imagining would happen. A bunch of the trench wall sloughed off into the footing. I had about a third of the stone in here, and I'm actually kind of glad that I didn't get it all in, because it looks like I'm going to be starting my day shoveling, getting all this excess dirt out of here, getting back to undisturbed ground. We have a swimming pool. Check it out. Welcome to the 3 foot by 3 foot by 6 inch deep swimming pool that is formed in the center of our pad here. This is supposed to be a hole for a footing, but might have to get some of this water out if we're going to think about pouring a footing here, that's for sure. In just 2 short hours of manual labor, I had the trench cleaned out and ready to continue the day. That meant putting in sleeves for our water line coming from behind the house and the electric line coming from in front of the house. Here's how I figured out how to place this wall pipe. I set up my string lines here, which represent my outside walls. I looked at my plans and I have my utility room right here, and there's a wall basically on this right side of me. So I measured over in the plans, and at about a 10 foot 2 inch mark from that outside wall is where this pipe should come in. I'm not going to be able to pour a footing with it sitting just like this, so I have brought out my old friend, the pickaxe, and me and the pickaxe are going to dig this a little bit deeper, but that'll allow me to recess this thing down into the ground, and that way it doesn't run into the footing forms when I go to do that. Finished what I was working on with the well pipe entrance, got that squared away. Came over here, did a little miscellaneous one, used a short sweep on this because it's a little bit cheaper, and I don't know exactly what's going in there eventually. And then finally got my electric run in, and that just dead ends to that trench over there. Now I just got to set the laser back up so I know my elevation is going to be right for the top of the stone, and finish putting the stone in the trench. It's the start of day 2. Yesterday I think was pretty successful. I got rock in the whole shebang here and got my pipes in that I wanted. So I just finished raking that out a little bit. And now I'm going to run the plate compactor over it. I'll put these boards down as sort of a ramp here. And then I rented that bad boy yesterday, about 80 bucks for the day. So I got to get that out of the truck, down into the hole, start compacting the stone. In the meantime, I'm going to bale this out. This is going to be fun. Got a few 5-gallon buckets worth of water in here, and hopefully we can get it to dry out. Oh, this is great. This is great. Well, it's pretty fun using that thing, and it does an okay job, but I think it was probably overkill. It didn't really do as much as I thought it would as far as compacting goes, but it was fun to run and good experience nonetheless. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good base, but before we build on it, I gotta give it the man's blessing. Yep, that's not going anywhere. All right, I think it's finally time to start putting some footing forms down in this hole. I'm gonna start by restringing all my strings back up, dropping my corner points down and driving a stake at the corners of the outside wall, and then I will offset from there 4 inches outward and 12 inches inward to accommodate for my 8-inch thick wall with a 4-inch wide of footing on either side, because my footing is 16 inches wide total. That way the wall will be centered on the footing. Then I'm gonna put my stakes in, put my boards down, get all the boards connected, and then the last step will be raising all the boards to the final grade level so that we will have an 8-inch deep footing that will be totally level across the top of the boards. That way when we go to pour it, we can just screed across the boards and we know the top of our footing will be flat and level. So here's how I'm going about this. I know you can't really see this that well, but I basically sketched out how these boards are all going to line up, and I just did some basic calculations on how long they needed to be. Then I went ahead and I started cutting the 2x8s to length, more or less. Basically it's going to be 2 boards that make up each row. And I know from the lengths then, once I butt them all together, it's going to be at least the right size, and then from there it's going to be getting it square. Fast forward to day 3 of footing prep. I got carried away yesterday. I didn't really do much filming as I was working, but I got the whole outside perimeter basically in. I squared the corners up here using a trick that I stole from Mr. Paul Marshall from formerly Marshall Remodel, now Mr. Post Frame. Basically just a 3-4-5 triangle here. It's not a perfect 3-4-5, but basically measured out the rise and run of this triangle and measured what the hypotenuse should be on this center, lined all that up so that I know that this board is running perfectly perpendicular to that, and did that at all 4 corners. You'll notice that there's some more pipe in here as well. I guess you could consider this my first oversight or mistake or whatever you want to call it for the build. And luckily it was a fairly easy one to remedy, but I started thinking about what we might want in the future as far as runs out of the house. And I had this thought before but just did not remember it when I was putting all this stuff in, which is we might want 2 things. A shop that way, and I would like the potential of having some power and water that's easy to run. And then also straight out behind the house we might do an outdoor wood boiler. Both of those runs, both for the shop and for the outdoor wood boiler, would be best to be below frost line just because it's gonna have liquid in it. So the easiest time to do that really is right now, I thought. And it did take me a little bit of trenching. I had to kind of trench up some of my stone that I had laid down, but I think it's gonna be okay. And I'm glad I got them in here now. So I just did an 1.5-inch run of this white pipe that I could eventually put a water pipe in, and then a 2-inch run of electrical conduit if I need to put any sort of sub panel out there. They both come up here next to my existing well pipe, and then these are 2 1.5-inch runs that go this way underneath the footer, and they all pretty much end right about here, and that is where our wood stove pipe would come in. So I've got plenty of extras now, 2 going out here, 2 going to the shop, and then of course I have the one, almost tripped over I got the one here too that would go to a future something that way. Maybe it's a house, maybe it's who knows what. Hi. Now that our square is formed up on the outside, we need to set it in the right location. So Elaina and I re-pulled our tape measure for the diagonals of our square to make sure we're still right on, and it was still dead on. And now I'm taking my plumb bob, putting the string at that crosshair and dropping it down and just making any micro adjustments necessary to our rebar pin to know that those stakes are on the center are exactly our 36x40 dimension. Now I can take my tape measure and basically just measure 4 inches from the center of that stake to the inside of my form, and that is where we will place the outside of the footing form and stake it in place. In staking all these footings in, I'm taking one extra step and I put a string line along the edge of this board. That way I can look down and make sure my forms are set straight, because I am joining 2 boards and they have some bows as well. Now I'm making what I'm going to call stretchers. I don't know if that's the appropriate term, but these are essentially 19-inch long pieces of wood. I've made them 19 inches long because we have a 16-inch footing, and then we have a form board, which is a 2x, so 1.5 inches actual thickness on either side. So that all adds to 19 inches. This will both help us space the footing to the right spacing, and then also I'm going to drill a hole about 1/2 inch diameter right through this and that is gonna hold our vertical rebars up. So we're gonna put these every 4 feet, and they're both gonna hold the footing to the right dimension and hold our vertical rebars. One thing you can help with today is getting the water out of that center footing. I got this garden hose over there. You just need to put one end in the top, one end down the hill, and then suck on the hose on the bottom.
Suck on the hose?
All right, here's the latest technique for getting the water out of the hole. Look what we got down there. Hello? Let's give some suction. I think something's happening, I heard. Okay, plan A did not work with the hose. On to plan B, the bucket.
Now that we have both sides set with stakes, we are going to now raise the boards to elevation using our handy dandy laser. Unfortunately, we started using the laser level and realized that the boards are about 1 inch high in some spots. So we're gonna have to go around and pull some of that stone out from beneath there to try to get the boards so that they are more level and so that when we raise them, they're to the correct height. It's not ideal, but we gotta do what we gotta do. Unfortunately, it's pretty windy and snowy, but the hard work will warm us up real fast.
Now it's time for horizontal rebar. This is gonna get 2 number 4 pieces of rebar, which are 1/2 inch diameter, continuous all the way around the footing. I have to overlap the ends a minimum of 24 inches, and the corners have to be a continuous bent piece. Okay, Miss Elaina, now that I've taught you, explain to these fine folks how you use the rebar tying tool for noobs, for us rebar noobs who have never done it before.
I don't know how to use it. I just,
all right.
You go like this, right?
Oh yeah, that looks good.
Oh, like that? Am I putting too much effort into it?
Yes. Again, stop twisting it like a screwdriver.
I don't get it. Then how else are you supposed to twist it?
You swivel it. The tool is built to swivel.
So what's that mean?
You don't need to.
Like this?
Yes. No.
Oh, like my wrist never turns, but I
Yes.
Okay, let's try it again.
No, I didn't explain anything yet.
Okay, let's start over.
Some laughs. Okay, start over. Go.
Oh wait, my nose is running. Gross, okay. We have 20-foot pieces of rebar, so obviously you have different points where they're overlapping and they have to connect. So the standard connection is 2 feet, which is 24 inches. Some places we have them overlapping 3 feet. Right here we have about 30 inches. And then you tie them together with these little metal ties. The ones that we purchased have a tool that you have to purchase with it. And basically they go around the rebar, they link together, and this tool twists them. So I'll show you how that works.
Align the loops, put the hook through it, and swivel it around. There you go. Don't go too tight or else you break it. Just enough to hold the bars together. To bend all these wonderful pieces of steel, I purchased this $30 3-pin rebar bender, which is just a welded piece of steel. This is how it works, just simple leverage. Boom. Easy as pie. Eyeballed it to 90. Sketchy. Made it.
Made it! Do your made it dance. I don't know what kind of dance moves those are, but I am concerned, sir. You may have just thrown out your back. It's called a string footer. We now have all of the rebar in our outside footer. It is time to get that center pier footer ready for inspection tomorrow. So we need to put some stone in it, and then we also have to put rebar in that as well.
4K footage of me scooping gravel.
Woohoo! Nothing better.
Gravel, only this time in 4K. It's take 2 of post-storm footing, except this time we wised up a little bit. Threw some tarps in here, and while it didn't stop any more dirt from falling in from the sides of the trench, it at least kept it out of our freshly prepared stone footing, so that now I can just lift the tarp up, let the dirt fall off to the sides where we're gonna backfill anyway, and go on with our day. And even better is this center trench footing. Yes, it filled up the plastic, but this will be a lot easier to get out than any sort of mud or dirt sloughed into the stone. Haven't really talked much about the vertical rebar, so let me just explain what we're doing there. If we pretend this trash can is our footer, our rebar is gonna go right through my stretcher every 4 foot. And I've situated this hose clamp on here so it holds the bar at the perfect height so that the very top of the bar will be like 39 inches above the top of the footing, which is just short of the 40 inches that makes up 5 courses of block. Here's my process for this. Basically from the top of the rebar to the top edge of the hose clamp should be about 37 inches. If I want it to be 39 inches with my spacer, hose clamp's a 1/2 inch thick. So it's just as simple as that, measuring down 37 inches and approximately at that spot. Tighten my hose clamp on. Cross braces are all done. Wasn't too bad at all. So here's a funny story. It was Elena's birthday last week. She wanted to get a porta potty here for the site, so I said for her birthday she could have a porta potty so she wouldn't have to go pee in the woods. So she called one up. They said they can bring it out this week. She said, I'll put a cone out and you can put it where the cone is. And here's where we put the cone. Seems normal, right? Right up at the site where it's flat, kind of where all the tools and everything are. Well, here's where they put the porta potty. All the way down the hill, probably 180 feet away. I don't know how they got that hint or if there was a miscommunication about the cone, but I guess that's where we're peeing and pooping this summer. All right, the vertical rebar is prepped. The footing forms are all done. I think I'm ready to finally pour concrete. Monday, we have the truck scheduled, provided that weather holds, and next week you're gonna see us actually pour this thing. So as always, stay tuned here and on the socials for more daily updates. And I wanna sign off with a big thank you to the sponsor of this video, who is Miss Paula, Elena's mom, who has noticed the single strap broken overalls I've been sporting the past couple videos and kindly and graciously sent me out a new pair of Carhartt summer overalls, which I'm rocking now and I absolutely love them. So thanks again, Paula. For all the rest of y'all, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next week.